So let's talk about the Melbourne Storm last night, AP. What do you give their rating out of 10?
Oh, very solid 8.5. I thought that initial collision and the fact that there was a sin bin, Nelson Asofa-Solomona wasn't on the field, and the Roosters, coupled with the Roosters' hot start, that had upset written all over it. In those first 15 to 20 minutes, you just thought this could get away from them. But the fact that they dropped only 2 balls in the first half, 2 balls in the second half, like incredible completion rate of 87%, that's almost perfect footy. Like if you're the opposition, you've got to be almost flawless to stay in the fight, and the Roosters were never up to it.
Hey, Macca, when it comes to Nelson, when you first saw it, did you think this isn't going to be good?
Yeah, initial first up, I thought it was just a clean big hit, big man at the start. But the way then you look back and the way Lindsay played the ball, you thought this isn't right. And as soon as he collected him, you just knew that, look, the way it is, Nelson's in a fair bit of drama there now. And obviously going forward, he'll miss the grand final for that and could cost Melbourne, that impact player that he's been so great for them, particularly the last 5 or 6 weeks. So when he's got on the field, he just ran hard, but he's got a nice little offload into his game now, and he's just got that fear factor. And they're going to need him if they play someone like Penrith, in that grand final. They need someone like Nelson who's going to be out. But yeah, look, he won't be playing.
I was surprised actually when you look at the replay because we've seen it. Whether you agree with it or not, we've seen this year that direct contact to the head without bending your back at all was just an immediate send-off, AP.
Yeah, I was happy with the 10 minutes.
Yeah, so was I, yeah.
I thought that was the right call. And unfortunately, it's the prize that are going to hurt Nelson. So, I know the Storm are talking about it right now, whether or not we should go. But to actually get him off, you need a double downgrade, which is almost, that's unheard of. And because you can't get off, like you can't say that it didn't happen. So it's just a shame. That's his third and subsequent offence. High tackle, careless, mate, he's gone.
Do you know there should be a system now? Bob was one of the callers on the Mowers Club just before us, and he said his son lost his licence due to multiple speeding or whatever it was, and now he lost his licence because of not what he did the other day. It's what he has continued to do over a certain amount of months. So I'm saying because he's got a record and there's a grand final on the line, and you shouldn't miss out on a grand final even though he's played in one before, could he offset some of his points to some of his teammates? We need to inject that rule. So you got to go to a teammate and say
some clean sins are going to end up with a couple of points in Judiciary.
So you go, Christian Welsh, come on, you won a comp.
Just give me up.
Played plenty of Origins. Can you take
some
200 points for me?
A fine as well, potentially.
Yeah. AP, can you get that started? Hashtag Free Nelson. That's what SEN's starting today.
Yeah,
well,
they reckon it's going to be bigger than the Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
Yeah, Free Nelson. It's going to be bigger.
You're comparing Nelson and Mandela with being incarcerated in South Africa. Yeah, that's
to free
very
Nelson
good.
Absolutely.
I'll
absolutely.
leave that one alone. But what about this, though? Does he have to – this is the other one that's a talker. Does he have to serve that in the grand final? Given how special and rare grand finals are, is there a case to be made, I'll cop the 4 or 5 weeks, no dramas, let me do that at the start of the season and let me play in this big game?
On that,
good point.
On the points, you're a father, Scooter.
Yep.
Have you taken any of your kids' points before behind the wheel?
Never.
Okay. Partner, taken any points?
Never.
Okay.
No.
I don't know if you're lying to me.
Can't admit that on air.
No, it's in the eyes.
Ask him off air, Macca.
I haven't stopped talking.
You're on radio. It's in my eyes, he says.
I'm looking at you. It's in the eyes.
His reaction, AP. Yeah. I'm just looking at him. It's a fair point from it.
Hey, Stormy Daniel on the text line, as we said, massive Melbourne Storm fan. Sats Macca AP, I'm flummoxed with the grade 3 charge. I can make an argument that the 2 other defenders in the tackle caused Collins to fall. His head makes contact with the upper chest and lower shoulder of Nass, who is third defender in. Makes no intent to swing his arm. Yeah, he doesn't swing his arm, nor does he lead with the shoulder. His actually arm ends up on the back of Katoa. There is a genuine attempt to wrap Collins up, which would have happened if Collins wasn't falling. It shouldn't have been more than a careless grade 1, which is, of course is a fine. The Storm have to fight it. I hope Nick Gabara is on speed dial, the lawyer who got Billy Slater off in 2018. I've got to say, if you go and look at a lot of Nelson Asofa-Solomona's tackles throughout that game, he's actually got a really good low tackle. Like he snaps people down around the quads a
for
big
such
man.
a big man to get down that far as often as he does.
As much as I love Nelson, and I want him to be there, even if
just
it's
can't.
against potentially the Panthers, the team I love. He had another option. He could have bent his back and crushed the entire right side of Lindsay Collins' rib cage.
Yeah, Look, he's in a lot of trouble, I think, Nelson. The way the game is these days, and look, he's poor Lindsay getting up and playing the ball the wrong way as well. Didn't help.
Marty
that.
Bella. Yeah.
Literally, as we're talking, I just sent Nick Gabar a message just saying thoughts. Do they challenge? And he's out with his family, but he's just texted back and he says, "I'd say they have no other option."
You know why you've got to fight it? Is because you're dealing with human emotion. You're dealing with humans and on the judiciary. You're dealing with people that have either played in the grand final or haven't played in the grand final. I know there is an angle from some of the panel members. I know for a fact that some of the ex-players have said, no, he shouldn't miss a big game, whatever it may be. But they'll have a legal angle to it, AP and Macca, where they'll say, no, but did he make contact with the head? And the former players will say, yes, but. And they'll always come back to, no, did he make contact with the head? And they always get drawn back into the legalities of it as opposed to. But I think you've got to fight it. One, because it's a grand final. Two, you're dealing with human emotion, ex-players.
The other thing too is, if it goes to the judiciary, what an incredible narrative for grand final week. There's always that Willie or Wayne play. There's usually an injury. Someone's trying to race the clock and all this sort of stuff. All of a sudden, it just elevates it, and there's a whole new story, and it hypes it up for the whole 3 or 4 days that will lead into that judiciary hearing.
All right, crystal ball, boys. He
Okay.
gets off. Is it more of a surprise than when Billy Slater got off that time?
If he gets off,
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everyone was shocked when Billy got off the way that was in the game. I think it might have been against Becky from the Sharks, maybe in the corner. I think potentially. So you think it would be a bigger surprise if Nelson got
Absolutely.
off? Okay.
Was it ever going to go any other way, but? I mean, you'd almost say to Nelson, we don't want you involved in the first tackle of the game because if we lose you, we go back a couple of strides when it comes to a grand final victory.
Why do they kick it to the aggressor? Why do they kick it to the biggest player on the field?
Because that's the history of the game. And
Kick it straight down the middle.
I'm like you. I don't understand
So
it
what,
either.
the fullback's going to have a hit up, you think, then, Daddy? Or do you
Yeah,
think
whack
he's got to
'em.
look to his left or right and then pick?
I just think like they could be doing smarter plays off a kickoff.
off
You know what? Because
give me
the alpha in each team is going,
Yes.
you, me, now.
Absolutely.
Let's get it on. And they're unabashed about that. We're going to kick it to your best and biggest and meanest bloke, and our biggest and best and meanest is going to run straight at him and put him on his stoiker. So there you go.
931 says the game's gone. Lindsay has a 30-metre run-up, drops his shoulder at contact, which drops his height. He's pretty much run into Nelson. What's he supposed to do? How can he lower his height if Katara is in front of him? If he lowers, he probably takes his head clean off. There was an option for him to lower his body, but as AP and AP's just alluded to, listeners, it's that alpha male. They just want to try and get the heaviest contact in they can. So, but I got no doubt, as much as I don't agree with it, I got no doubt that they'll continue. They'll probably look at an NFL style kickoff, like the NFL started this year. So
It
basically,
seems to be going that way.
basically
Well,
the
you look at the previous week.
the team will-
Daddy was alluding to earlier, before the show started. He thought Jared elbowed.
Cooler.
Kohler from
Yeah.
Manly.
Yeah, but
Didn't you,
Daddy's a
Daddy?
Gen Z.
He
Daddy's
thought
Gen
Jed
Z.
said, that's where it's going these
Yeah.
days. That the contact's coming out.
Well,
of it.
he played last night, right? And now Nass gets 4 weeks.
Yep.
It's not consistent. He knocked out Kohler. No worries. See you later.
Yeah, but that was,
It's different.
that
when
was-
you
that was
carry-
raised his elbow.
that was Kohler's bad technique, and that's the immediate reaction when you're pushing someone forward. That your
Watch it
arms go up.
back. He sees him. He pins him out, and
Nah.
he bang.
Oh,
Bad
that'll do me.
technique.
That'll do me.
What about when just everyone leans in for that first one? So obviously Jared and the cooler one. The very next one, Jake Trebojevic, and then this
Yeah.
one, everyone just thought, well, what's going to happen this? I'm sure it's not going to happen again. Yes,
Yep.
it is.
So
Just tap the ball off.
Warren Smith from Fox Sports put a tweet out overnight saying, love the kickoff while you can because very soon it's going to be looking completely different. He's been absolutely hammered by it, but I've got to say that they're trying to take concussion out of it and head injuries. I think it's the only way we're going to see it. Before we go to the break, crime scene. One of our angriest listeners says, geez, you are a sap, Sats. I've told my daughter that if she ever kills someone, I will help get rid of the body and take fall for her if necessary. That's being a parent. Oh, that's exactly what we'd expect crime scene to say. Let's get to a break here. And on the other side of the break, Melbourne Storm utility Alec McDonald is going to join us on Crunch Time.